Hello, darlings. Thank you for tuning in to Living Out Loud with Loretta, the podcast. I'm your host, Loretta Nkwacha. Now, like many of you, I'm a parent, I have friends, a life partner, I work in my home, I work outside my home, I have a social life. Well, I try to. It's hard to balance all of this and fit in some me time without feeling guilty. It's hard, but not impossible. Each week, listen to parents from all walks of life as they share their stories of the pursuit of equilibrium, that beautiful thing we call balance, so that they can still live their life out loud. Hello, and good afternoon to my audience today. Living Out Loud with Loretta is coming to you on an afternoon, and my guest is truly making mummy moves. I bought one of her items and I asked her if she would be willing to sit and chat with me. Thankfully, she said yes. Please meet Noelle Talley. Is that right?
That's right. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for saying yes. Now, the reason I know you is kind of a fantastic reason to know you, but please tell my audience why it is that I pursued you with no shame and begged you to come onto my show.
Well, I don't know why you pursued me, but I can tell you about our company and what we do. I am the founder of Noelle's Naturals, which is a lifestyle brand. We have all kinds of cool things. We've got personal care products and herbal blends, and our biggest product is elderberry syrup making kits. We also do ready-made elderberry syrup, and it's really just all about health and wellness and helping families to boost their immune systems and to use products that are non-toxic for the whole family, so people can be as well as possible.
Now, I love that this is what you do, and I do in fact have the products that I did buy from you.
Oh, look at that kit.
The elderberry syrup kit.
Yes.
Now, elderberry has been in my life, I don't know, maybe like 2 or 3 years. And normally me and my family have the gummies or whatever. And then when COVID hit last, February, March, the store I get my elderberry from, everyone came and everyone took all the gummies. So they said to me, well, listen, why don't you try the dry elderberry? I was like, oh, all right, I'll give it a try. I bought like a small amount, fell in love with it. And I was like, okay, I want to just kind of buy it directly from, whoever makes it, wherever it comes from. Does it grow in your garden, whatever? Found you. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is just like, you are a mum of 4. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes.
Okay, so wife, mum of 4, you live in sunny Florida, so that's good.
Yes, lots of sunshine to keep us healthy.
Right. So then how did you even get into like the whole, like you call it, a lifestyle brand? Now I heard from what I did when I did my research, I saw and read that you were having some issues with infertility, and that kind of made you look into what was out there that could kind of help your wellness and your well-being. So please explain to me that story.
Yes. So my husband and I got married 10 years ago. We were excited to start a family. And as we began trying for a baby, I began having miscarriages. And I ended up having 6 miscarriages and worked with doctors. Really, nobody had answers as to what was going on. So I finally went to a naturopath who was like, let's just get you healthy. Let's just see what we can do. We don't know what the cause is, but what we do know is that getting healthy can never hurt. So she really just helped me understand how toxins really can affect our hormones, can affect all kinds of processes in our body. So I started really with food, with getting rid of, pesticides in my food, eating organic, like the 5 ingredient rule. Any foods that have more than 5 ingredients, or if you can't pronounce the ingredients, don't buy it. So just eating real foods. And so that was, really the start of my journey. And then it kind of started to get into my skincare products. So I'm like, well, I'm doing well with what I'm putting in my body. What about what I'm putting on my body? And especially, once I did get pregnant with my oldest son and had a healthy pregnancy and I was breastfeeding him, I started to think, well, gosh, my underarms are right here next to my breast tissue. And what's in this deodorant that I'm putting on that's like right next to his face? And so I started thinking, gosh, maybe I should look into a non-toxic deodorant. And they were all really overpriced or just didn't really work, or I stunk worse than, if I had worn nothing. So I started making my own deodorant. It just started as like a little DIY thing. And then friends started asking about it, and I posted on social media, and people were like, yeah, let me try it. And it kind of started to become a business. So, we started coming up with more and more products as there was something I wanted. I was like, well, let me just make it, because I'm just a DIYer at heart. I'm just always that way. Anything that can be made, I figure I can make myself better and cheaper. So just started making all different products. And probably 3 or 4 years ago, I heard about elderberry syrup, and I had heard about some people, buying it themselves, buying dried berries and making their own syrup at home. So I started making some syrup and selling that to friends locally. And then people just kind of asked, could you sell me just the berries? And I'm like, well, what if I just measured everything out and, made a recipe? So all you had to do was just throw it in a pot and cook it yourself. And threw it up on Amazon, and it just became a smash hit. We started selling so much elderberry. And this was 2 years ago when we really started to realize this might be a real thing. And so it happened to be a year where there was a really bad flu season. And it happened to be a year where nobody had any elderberry. There was like a run on elderberry and no one could buy it. And we had I just had the forethought. I was like, I think this could be a big thing. And I bought like 400 pounds of elderberry and thought, I'm just going to take a risk and do this. And when nobody else had it, we had it. So we were just selling it like hotcakes and just kind of rise to the top of that niche on Amazon. And then, COVID happened this last year, and obviously it's a great year to be in the immune boosting business. So we just, it's kind of grown, organically, and it's been a really crazy ride these last few years.
It's pretty amazing that you just kind of think, oh, I need some deodorant that might not have any toxins, and I'm just going to make my own. Like, how do you go about making your own deodorant?
So it just started kind of with like Pinterest and looking up recipes and seeing, what goes into things, and then just started researching. I'm a researcher by heart. I love to research. I love to learn. I was homeschooled. My mom just really instilled in us a love from learning very early on. So I joke that I'm an adult homeschooler, because I'm just, any topic, I'm like, cool, I'll research it. The mating habits of honeybees, sure, I'll learn about it. I don't know. Just any subject I'm just fascinated by. So you give me something to run with, and I just start researching, and it was a lot of trial and error. A lot of our products, some of our products just work right out the gate. The first recipe works. Usually that's not the case. Sometimes it's just trying things, giving them away for free to friends, seeing if they work, seeing if people like it, and just kind of going from there.
So then, okay, when you discovered obviously the deodorant or whatever, the products that you were making yourself, that they were working, what was the next stage? You're giving it away to friends, then you just got it. You just called Amazon or emailed them, said, hey, I've got a fantastic product that I think might sell. Would you be willing to carry it, or what? How do you go about that?
It started for me with Etsy. So I opened up a little Etsy shop. I'm a serial entrepreneur. It's impossible for me to just have a hobby. I have to make money at everything I do. It's impossible. Even if it just pays for itself, that's how I am. So I've had a handful of different little Etsy shops selling different odds and ends. So I just threw stuff up on Etsy. And then I actually, after selling, more and more, I got an invitation from Amazon to become a seller on Amazon.
Ooh, okay.
I got an invitation from Walmart to begin selling from Walmart. And, it just kind of has sort of opened up different opportunities as I've gone along.
Okay, so you mentioned, let's go back. So you mentioned that you were homeschooled. And you have 4 children, and you are homeschooling I guess three of them, because one of them's a little goober, right?
Yeah.
How old is your youngest one?
So she is 4 months old, and my oldest is 7, and then I have a 5-year-old and a 3.5-year-old. So really only one and 1.5 are sort of homeschooling right now.
Okay, so you've had a lot of time being pregnant, and I guess you clearly solved your infertility issues with your natural remedies. Like, is that something you would recommend to any other women as well that might be going through similar issues with you as you were? So to kind of just look at, first of all, what they're putting in their bodies and just kind of doing a good cleanse.
Yes, absolutely. Because I mean, we really don't fully understand how, pesticides and GMOs can systemically impact our body and its processes. So just getting rid of those on its own can heal any number of issues, without having to add anything, without having to add any medicines or supplements, just getting to the baseline and saying, what is vibrant health for me and for my body, and kind of clearing out all the other stuff. That can make a lot of changes. So I can't promise that, if you cut out all of the toxins that, that you're not going to have any more issues with fertility. It's not always the same for every person, but certainly can't hurt. So it's a good place to start. And I did not have another miscarriage at all between my four children after I started living a more natural and healthy life.
Wow, it's very interesting. That's a very it's very encouraging actually to hear that. I have two children, and in between my first and my second, I did suffer a miscarriage, and it to me was like the biggest blow. But from then talking about it with people, I got to see and hear just how common it is. So to hear that you had 6 miscarriages, I mean, it's incredible. How did you like get the strength to keep trying? Like, what was that drove you?
Honestly, my faith is really a very important part of who I am, and really just how I made it through that difficult time. Just believing that God has something better for me, and just having a really amazing and supportive husband, and my family has always been very supportive. And honestly, I throw myself into my work. I mean, I love helping other people grow and helping to teach other people from my experience. So before I really got serious with this business, I was a doula and childbirth educator, and that's really a passion of mine. I had to kind of stop doing that because I don't have time to do everything, but I love that world. My youngest baby, the one that's 4 months old, was actually born at home, which was a really cool experience.
Oh, you're the second person I know that is a big fan of birthing at home. And
Yes.
okay, that was beautiful.
Yes, it was beautiful. My other 3 children were also born out of hospital, so they were born at birth centers. So it was, not the hospital experience, and it was a great experience. But during COVID, I just thought, you know what, I'd rather stay home if possible. So yeah, it was beautiful. My other 3 children were right by my side. She was born in the water, and my husband was there. My parents were there, and it was just a really beautiful experience. I think it's a really cool thing to normalize childbirth for children, and for them to see that women are strong and brave and can do these big things. They saw it firsthand, so they will never forget, that I did that. And so it's, I like to integrate the family in that.
And seeing like the visual in their minds of seeing their sister coming into the world, right? Just like, oh my goodness, the beauty and the awesomeness of childbirth. I must say, both of my children were cut out of me. So I'm not one of those brave women that did it either in the hospital or at home. No, I'm like, give me the drugs, cut me open, pull them out.
You know what, though, at the end of the day, we're both hiding in our closets eating chocolate, so it doesn't matter how they got here.
Oh my goodness me. But I love the inspiration for me with you, not just the superwoman thing of bringing your children into the world, at home or at a birthing center, but the fact that you are a serial entrepreneur, so you say, but the fact is you are sort of courageous enough to say, okay, you know what, I want to give this a try. I'm not seemingly overwhelmed by the fact that I have 4 young children and all the other things that a mother and a wife has to do. You are still very, motivated to, like, okay, I'm going to try this and see if it will, take off or whatever. I love that. Being a serial entrepreneur is clearly a good thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
do you believe, you said that some of the things do work, some of the products don't work, but the fact is you still believe that, okay, I have something here that could do well. Let me just put it out there and just have the faith that something will happen with it, and
fair. All the products that are on the market do work.
yeah, the ones in the garbage bin, the ones in the
bin.
bin, they don't work. Right. Well, listen, it certainly worked for me because the inspiration for me, like I'm now doing something with a product that I have been making for myself for the last 6 or 7 years. It's a simple ginger tea. It's delicious. Oh, you're reminding me to drink now. It's a delicious tea, but the added ingredients of having like something like elderberry, it was like, okay, well, it's clearly immune boosting. And this is the time, like you said before, this is the time to be in the immune boosting business, so it's a wonderful thing to be a part of that and be like, okay, I'm adding to this market, which we all need a bit of this now. How are you balancing it all? How are you managing? I mean, I know you have an assistant, obviously, because your business is, that's another thing. Do you run your business out of your home?
No. I did for a few years, and then it just exploded and got too big for the home. So yeah, we have a headquarters in Largo, Florida. That's where I am now. So.
Okay, so which is fantastic. We grew too big to stay in the house, so we had to move out, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
How are you balancing it all?
So I do have a lot of help. My mom lives close by. She's amazing. She helps homeschool my kids. She's super supportive. And I do have a nanny, a part-time nanny, and I have an assistant here at my headquarters that does so much. I love her. She's just the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Don't tell your husband that.
But and speaking of my husband, he's just crazy supportive. Just there's nothing that I want to do that he says no to. I'm like, hey, I think we should do this. And he's like, cool, do it. Sky's the limit. So he loves business and he loves seeing businesses grow. And so he's just really fascinated by how I've done what I've done, kind of outside of the scope of how businesses are supposed to work, because I'm very free spirited. I'm not a linear thinking person. I'm creative. And so I didn't start this with a business plan. I started this with an idea and just kind of figured things out as I went. And so the fact that it's been successful is kind of an anomaly to my husband. So he thinks it's interesting.
It's amazing. I mean, is he in a totally different field? Like, is he, I don't know, a banker or something? Or
he's an attorney. So he's
an attorney.
Like linear thinker, just everything's in rows. And I'm just like spaghetti. I'm just all over the place. But so I do have a ton of support. I say no to a lot of things, a lot of good opportunities often. So that's a really important thing to me. I don't feel indebted to do all these great things. I just don't. And that's just my personality. Some people do. But for me, I'm like, you know what? I don't need to do that. What I need is to really, really fiercely guard the things that are most important to me. And that's my family, my marriage, and personal time. Like I really guard my mental health and that space. And my husband supports that as well. If I'm like losing it with my kids and I tell my husband, like, I just need to leave. Like I'm not in a good place right now. He's like, cool, leave. Go, have a coffee, get your nails done. Like he's really great in that. And I know not everybody has that, but I will say, take it for yourself. You have to say, if you have a partner who's not super supportive, you have to find a way to communicate. Here are my needs, and I will be a better partner. I will be a better mom. I'll be a better business owner if I'm getting my cup filled. So that's something that I really take very seriously. And so some days I'll come into work like at 2:00 because I went and had coffee with a friend and I went shopping while my nanny has my kids, because I just need that time to just like recharge and refill, my cup.
Noelle, it absolutely fills me with joy to hear that whenever I do hear of women in particular, just because we are the ones that tend to be the nurturers and the caretakers and whatever in that way, there's something that God or Mother Nature gave us. So there's a particular responsibility that we have. There's another responsibility that the spouse has as well. But those of us that have either brought humans into the world and claim them as our children, or have been, beautiful and giving enough to adopt other people's children, whatever it is, if you are a caretaker, a caregiver, I love it when I hear them say, I need this time for myself. So I make sure to take care of my mental health, because it is as important as everything else that I'm doing, the things I'm doing for my family or my business or whatever. It's as important that I take care of my mental health.
Yeah.
Is that something that you learned over time, or is that something your mother instilled in you, or your friends, you just kind of saw how they ran their lives?
I think I just always saw my mom just like being a boss and just like taking care of whatever needs to get taken care of, including herself. She never like spoke that. She never told me to do that. I just always saw her making sure she was taking care of what she needed, and also taking care of everybody else too. She just did all those things and really taught me how to be that way. It's interesting because my mom and I are very different from each other. She's not as willy-nilly as I am. She's like my husband. They have very similar personalities. But because I'm naturally kind of crazy and free-spirited, because she raised me with such structure, I'm this like weird thing that doesn't exist. I'm like creative, but I also have a good amount of boundaries. And also because she homeschooled us, she had to instill structure in us and teach us how to really figure out a way to balance our own time and to balance, the things that we wanted to do versus the things that we needed to do. So that was something that my mom really helped with. And I'll throw my dad in too. My dad is like a champion for women and like strong women and like, leaders. And he saw that in me at a very young age and really, really just like nurtured that and said, it's good to be a leader. You should be a leader. You need to rise up. And if you have those skills, use them. And other people are looking to somebody. The other people are followers and they want somebody who will stand up and say, hey, here's where I think we should go. So he really encouraged that in me at a young age. And I want my kids to see, especially my sons. I do want my girls to see it, but my boys, I want them to see that women are interesting, women are strong, women are brave, and women can do great things. That doesn't mean that I'm any better than their dad. We're equal. Men are great, women are great. You don't have to be better than each other. You can be partners. And so I really want them to learn that from me,
Was it like, what was your mother's choice to homeschool you? What was that decision making? Was she homeschooled herself?
No, just in the area we lived in when I was a kid, the schools weren't great. And, there was just, she had this weird feeling. It didn't feel right to her that someone told her, here's what your child's going to be learning and here's who their teacher's going to be. And she thought, well, no, I want to decide that. And that's not for everybody. Some people are like, cool, just tell me where to be, where to show up. I'm good with that. And that's fine. But for her, she just really felt like she wanted to be in charge of our education. And she just decided to try it. She did it with my sister, my oldest sister first. And then the next year she decided to pull my brother and I from school. And really, it was such a great opportunity because I think that's why I became a serial entrepreneur, is because I was a little kid and I had the time and I started little businesses. I started a little concession stand while my dad played basketball at the Y on Wednesday nights. And he gave me a loan and we bought some cans of soda and some bags of chips and I sold concessions. And that was my first business. And from then I just kind of always had businesses. My mom's always been a business owner. My dad's a business owner. And it's just something that I saw modeled for me and it seemed normal.
Okay, so for people like me who are getting started in the business arena and, using something that was natural to them to have, to then try and say, okay, I've been giving it away to friends for years, so now it's time for me to try and turn it into a business. What is your advice?
Oh, God. I don't know. Because I kind of fell into this, like I said, everything that I make, I think, well, maybe I could sell this and make some money at it. So I don't know, maybe just start small and instead of giving it to your friends, say, hey, I'm going to start selling it. I started selling on social media. I just would post, hey, deodorant, $5 a tube. Let me know if you want some. I'll bring it to church. And I just was handing it out to people and just kind of took it one step at a time. And that's really how I've done this business. It started like that. And then I went to Etsy and then I moved to Amazon and now I'm moving into wholesaling. I'm actually working on moving into UK in the next few weeks. So we're going to be selling globally, hopefully, we'll see. And just kind of one step at a time. And I've really just had to learn as I've gone because, it's one thing to be selling things to people in person. It's another to be having this huge e-commerce business where now I have taxes and, payroll and I have, certifications that I have to have and things like that, which I had no idea how to do when I started this business. I've just taken it one step at a time and ask questions. Do not be so either prideful that you can't admit you don't know things or too embarrassed to admit that you don't know things. Ask questions. And I found even people in, like government organizations, as I got, my food handler certification here, like I had no idea what I was doing and just asked questions. I've been on the phone with people at the IRS because I don't know how to file business taxes. I don't know what I'm doing. And just, hey, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm messing things up. Tell me what to do. And they are so open when you are curious and will ask questions. They will really help you. I think people are softened by a humble heart that's willing to learn and ask questions.
I was going to say humility is very appealing and very what's the word? Oh, there's another word. I can't think what the word is. But I'm hearing baby crying, and
yes, I'm sorry.
My womb is hurting. I know. So endearing, that's the word, endearing I was looking for. Okay, I love you so much for spending this time with me. I so appreciate it. Like I said to my audience, it's middle of the afternoon. You're busy doing business. I've just finished my homeschooling. So I'm very grateful that we were able to carve out this little bit of time. And if you don't mind, I would like to continue texting you and asking you, so hey, how do I do a barcode? What the bloody hell is a barcode? Why am I looking? How do I do it? If you don't mind. I will definitely be stalking you on social media for sure and keep on watching, and I'm going to keep on buying, and then hopefully I'm going to persuade you to kind of maybe work something out with me where the two of us can be working somehow together on stuff. Do you like ginger tea?
I do. I love ginger. I'm a huge fan of ginger.
Okay. Yeah. I make a killer tea. We'll talk. I would love to get some to you. I've got to figure out how I'm going to do it. But please go and take care of baby. Thank you so much, Noelle. This has been priceless. And I really implore you to think about starting a podcast.
I'm going to think about it. You've kind of given me the bug a little bit today.
You've got a lot to give, a lot to impart, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience, a lot of just wisdom. When's your birthday?
I'm a Sagittarius. I know what you're asking because I've listened to your other podcasts.
Oh, you have? Oh, wow. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right. I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you, Noelle. Mwah. I'm going to continue contacting you if that's okay. Keep on doing what you're doing. I'm going to keep on buying because your stuff is just fantastic. I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
I'll have you again at some point later on down the road, if it's possible. We'll carve out another early morning or something.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, when she gets a little bit older, I think I'll start leaving her with the nanny. But for now, she's still on the boob, so gotta keep
exactly. Go and give her the boob, okay? Go on.
Thank you.
Bye, Mom.
I can't just do something for fun. I always have to find a way to monetize it. So I'm sorry. Did that ding on my computer just come through?
It did. So just go again, just so that you're a serial entrepreneur.
Thank you again for tuning in to Living Out Loud with Loretta. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with a friend or several friends. Post a screenshot of this episode on your Instagram stories and tag me at Loretta Nakwacha. You can also watch this episode with a cold beverage on my YouTube channel. The link is posted below. Lastly, if you have the time, please leave a positive review on Apple Podcasts so that we can continue sharing stories, singing songs, and living our lives really out loud.